Let's bring you some breaking news. And we're hearing that Qatar is currently negotiating the release of between 10 and 15 captives being held in Gaza by Hamas in return for a ceasefire that would last for 1 or 2 days. Only 4 captives have been released so far. About 200 people have been held since October the 7th. So hearing that Qatar is currently negotiating the release of between 10 and 15 captives. Let's bring in Mahjoob Zweiri, who's here to talk about this, Director of Studies Centre, the Study Centre at Qatar University. So these negotiations have been going on for some time, but this seems to be a new development.
Yes. I think it was announced by Hamas, I think, in the first week that all foreigners, they want to release them as early as possible, and they consider them guests when the appropriate time is there. And they wanted to make sure that the roads are safe and there's no bombardment on those people. And they want to make sure, because those people are not located in one place. They are, it seems that they are in different places, and they want to make sure they are, and they can move them to the safe place. I think this news is a great news. I think it comes also after the communication which were going on between Washington and Tel Aviv in the last 48 hours. The Vice President of the United States have been talking to Netanyahu, Biden as well. The director of the CIA was in the region a few days ago. I think there was a huge effort by the Americans to breaking through when it comes to the hostages. I think this few days ago there was an attempt to release around 12 people, but there was a complication on logistics which delayed the whole process. If this happens, because Hamas wanted a ceasefire because they wanted to make sure that food and need what people need is coming inside to Gaza, coming into Gaza. So I think if hopefully it will go on, that will be a good start to have a sort of measures that can facilitate releasing more of those foreigners.
Do you think it could come about? Because Israel, of course, have said that they don't want a ceasefire or a pause of any kind.
I think that they couldn't continue with this pressure. It's obvious. There are 3 elements now is imposing on Netanyahu government. One is the international support is weakened because of all of this massacres. And number 2, there is a pressure on the Western government from their own public opinion. And the third reason is there is a huge pressure from within Israel for how long they will do this. And now it seems the narrative has been changed. They start to look on the hostage Israelis and foreigners. Now it seems they are dividing, the military people, the Israeli, they are different story, but we need to make sure that foreigners are released as soon as possible.
Captives are a big element in this whole scenario. 2 weeks ago, I think they were talking about an all-for-all swap for all the captives in Gaza and potentially Palestinian prisoners in Israel.
Yeah, and the question was, what Israel will pay back. I mean, because Palestinians, they have a request on the table. On the table, they say, okay, we need ceasefire. We need Rafah to be open. We need to make sure that the flood of water, the flood of food, medicine is going on. We need the bombardment of hospital to be stopped. There are requests from the Palestinians as well, and I think this is an indicator that the Israelis has accepted some of this, because otherwise we will not have this kind of step. It seems both sides, they came to the point that everyone has to give some concession, so they make sure that things some relief on the ground.
But it would seem that the concession in this case would be a ceasefire for 1 or 2 days. Would it be anything more than that, do you think? What are we talking about, 10 and 15 captives?
It's a good start. Let's remember, in the first 2 weeks, the discussion was about 2-3 hours. The discussion is ceasefire for 2-3 hours, 4 hours, 6 hours. Now we talk about 48 hours. And that's itself a good achievement, taking into consideration the radical positions of Netanyahu government.
What about the negotiating team itself? I mean, Qatar are heavily involved in all this.
Absolutely, no doubt that Qatar has a credibility when it comes to the issue of mediation. The Americans trusted them. They have made many statements showing the trust of the Qatari efforts. And also, Qatar said that they have the office of Hamas in Doha as a channel of communication, and they wanted to. The Qatar priority is basically, a ceasefire to stop killing the civilians. That's the Qatar priority. They want to see people, this ongoing killing in Gaza stopped immediately. And I think that is the message. If this can save some life, will be great.
All right, Mahjoob, we'll leave it there for the moment. We'll come back to you later on this as things develop. We will come back to it. Thanks a lot.